Today we're going to talk about Damar Hamlin had an interview and an interesting question that was asked and not answered during the interview. We're going to talk about Grant Cardone, and there was a clip that you wanted to play and a few other things because this is Ryan's record where we just talk about whatever. It's madness, Ryan. It's madness. Let's get to the Damar Hamlin thing real quick. I pulled up, believe it or not, I had to pull up a clip on Twitter because if you try to Google it, you're not going to find the thing you're looking for.
That's weird. So really, that Twitter's the only space that you can get this stuff at.
It's weird that it's almost like since Elon Musk bought it, you're allowed to watch this stuff.
Could you imagine if he didn't? I'm not even the biggest.
To be able to keep going.
After Hamlin was discharged from the ICU, the question on so many minds: what caused his heart to stop beating?
You're 24, peak physical condition, could run circles around me right now. How did doctor describe what happened to you? That's something I want to stay away from.
Well, there is a
to be able to keep.
Stop it. Stop
to be able to keep going.
Twitter? Stop it. Bad Twitter. That's something I want to stay away from. Why?
I heard an interesting point. Do you think he gave an answer and then CBS edited the answer and that's what we got was a botched version?
I certainly wouldn't put it past, the mainstream news to do such a thing, to control narratives. It did seem a little unnatural. I mean, if you watch the whole clip, if I remember correctly, there's really no follow-up. It's like, I don't want to talk about that. And Strahan's like right into the next question, which seems weird. Because me personally, if I was interviewing somebody and I said, hey, what caused your heart to stop beating? And I said, I don't want to talk about it. I'd say, why? Why don't you? So
I'm trying to look for tips so it doesn't happen to me, Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I'm certainly not in peak. I'm not nearly in that guy's shape.
Let's laugh about it.
Professional athlete, his heart just stopped because of the hit, of course.
Well, what's crazy is we heard that this happened once before, right? They tried pulling. I know you brought it up at the time, but Michael Strahan has literally played the game, and all these people are we're all shook, So.
Right, all these people who've played the game professionally and watched the game.
The experts, people familiar with the matter, inside source, somebody familiar with the matter.
All of them watched it the same as we did. Like, holy shit, I can't believe what we just saw because it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. It's not a normal thing.
They've seen.
I don't care about the hit to the chest. It had nothing to do with it, and nobody wants to talk about it. Yeah, no, I wouldn't put it past CBS to be like, hey, we can't talk about this. Try again. I don't even know why they're probably slapping Strahan on the wrist behind the scenes too. Like, what do you think? Why do you even think this is okay? We can't be talking about this. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I also think that they had to have. Michael Strahan doesn't have enough money that he makes his own questions. He might write questions, but they get approved. There's he doesn't have 100%
for sure
liberty over those questions. So
for sure,
this is kind of like the whole foreshadowing of narrative pain. I'm not saying that they're doing this, but this is why we have problems. I have problems with getting narratives from anybody. These things are all coached and produced. It's highly paid television programming.
To your point, it's a little weird too. Because I'd agree. I would imagine somebody greenlights all this. Somebody certainly higher on the payroll than Michael Strahan is looking at all this. So I'd be surprised. But that does ask a question, why would they leave that in it? That's kind of weird in general, you know what I mean?
It's distraction, Dave. Well, distraction from what? Just the distraction from the Ohio train derailment. Now we got distractions against distractions.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know. It's a little odd. It's a weird interview. Everyone can certainly go watch the whole thing. It's a lot easier to find the whole thing, but it's a lot harder to find that clip.
The other thing that I thought was odd is he kind of resolved all of the the SpongeBob Jesus jacket kind of all faded away now, all that controversy. He wore that to the Super Bowl. Oh, I didn't know it was going to be a problem. You didn't think people at the biggest stage in all of American history, everybody watches the Super Bowl. A third of America watches the Super Bowl, and you're going to wear something rockin' Jesus looking like SpongeBob with the cutout paste clothes. Now, I'm not even here to whatever, my personal opinion is irrelevant, obviously, but it is interesting that these things they're picking topics of controversy. It's almost like they'd rather have us talk about the jab than the coming of God's son.
Yeah,
when Easter is on the way, like literally Easter's in a month.
Ooh,
2
I
months.
gotta make sure I get my next month, right? March.
Idols of March, Dave.
I'm gonna have to get my butter lamb.
You don't make those?
Do I make it?
Yeah, my dad makes butter lambs.
You think I'm crafty enough to make a butter lamb?
Yeah, you cut it off, put a toothpick on it. You put the toothpick in the other part, and then you take
Oh God, I got
a small toothpick and wick it. Make it look like a lamb.
I need to see a picture of your dad's butter lamb on the episode at some point in the future.
I'll do a TikTok reel of him.
How many people know about butter lambs?
Just those Polacks in Buffalo.
I was gonna say, well, so here's the thing: like we get them too. I can buy them too, but that's because we have a Tops by me, which is of course stationed out of Buffalo. So that's the only reason I can get a butter lamb. And when I brought one, like. Eve's family doesn't know about butter lambs. They didn't know this was a thing. And I was like, I thought it was a
normalcy. I thought like butter lambs.
I thought it was a Christianity thing, right? You have a butter lamb. Apparently.
No, it's an old Polak thing, dude. That's old. That is old Polish culture. That's how much the Italians did not have a mafia here. It was the Polish and the Irish. And yeah my dad said the Dagos had whatever, but like the actual mob was ran by the Polacks.
Yeah. Interesting. So, I don't know. Let me know how many people know about butter lambs.
I mean, the Pussy Willow thing, all that stuff. Like, we have the largest Dingus Day celebration. Why do you think that is? It's the old Polish roots. Like,
there's a lot of dinguses. That's why.
The Easter Bunny footprints and some of those old traditions, and it's all old babushkas and. Yeah, Ryan's record. This is always the best day of the week because it's unstructured, fun, and we can just cover a vast variety of topics. And Dave doesn't, have to talk. But
yeah, it is kind of nice. Why am I talking? Get me out of here. Put you on big screen. Good point, Ryan.
Yeah, she started the whole show. Dave, you fucking took off.
Ryan, do you want the Grant Cardone clip now or later?
Yeah, we can run the Grant Cardone clip.
All right. Does everyone know who Grant Cardone is?
I brought this guy up on the podcast. I don't know, a few weeks ago at minimum. I've only been following him for like a month, I'll say. I went pretty deep into him this week though, which is probably why this clip in particular was fed to me. For my knowledge, he's running for president. So,
what?
I'm ready.
For real?
Yeah. He said, "I'll get to it. Run the clip. I'll talk."
I don't pay income taxes in America. Like last year, I didn't pay any income taxes.
Yeah.
But I paid $30 million worth of property taxes.
Yeah.
I also I have 185 people on one payroll and 175 people on another payroll.
Yeah.
So 350 people times what? $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, whatever that number is.
Yeah.
I'm paying $200 million a year or $21 million a year in salaries, plus 15% matching.
Yeah.
I'm doing my share,
fair
share. Now, if I can figure out a way personally to, okay, I'm going to go buy a jet, I'm going to offset my income, not pay any income taxes. Well, I'm going to play every game I can.
Yeah.
And everybody should play every game you can. The problem that people need to complain about right now is not the billionaires. They need to understand that because what they're saying is there's income inequality, wealth inequality. But the reality is there's education inequality. Okay, the billionaires play by a different set of rules.
Now, this isn't like I'm a big fan of conspiracies. It's kind of like a hobby pastime of mine, and I don't always not believe everything.
Well, it's in your blood, right?
The reptilians. But when you see clips like this, like David, what's your first thing that comes to mind when he says stuff like this?
I need to be that successful. Yeah. I want to be the guy paying out $21 million to people. Are you kidding me? That's great.
It is great. It's a lot of responsibility, dedication. There's probably a high degree of stress. You hear him. He talks fast. Because time is money.
He's got shit to
do. Yeah, I first ran into Grant Cardone on Lewis Howe's program, I think like later in 2022. And I didn't really put much stock into him. And that's where I heard that he's going to run for president and he's going to privately fund it through having like $300 billion in real estate or something gnarly, and that was going to be his war chest. And something that I find is impressive about this guy in particular, he spends all of his money every day.
Ryan, I don't know if you recall, but I had mentioned that there's no point in hanging on to cash in hand. There's no point to having any.
Yeah, I have coins and stuff. I was going to talk to you about this or other people. I'm going to go, my grandfather left them to me. It's like the only family heirlooms I have of him. And I'm going to sell them because honestly, it's not that I don't value them. It's actually the opposite. I don't want to sell them because my grandfather wanted to pass them down when they would be worth more money, but it might be worth the most money it's ever going to be worth ever again. Like there
exactly.
will be a disruptor in the dollar. We will be getting rid of it's like, I need to stop operating like it's the 1980s and 90s and you can buy a house. I was telling people I work with and stuff, and I got this from Grant Cardone. I will never buy my house. I will never buy a house. I may rent the rest of my life. Will I have a mortgage, though? Is a very different question. Because I 100% want mortgages, except I'll take a mortgage out on a duplex or a multifamily or even a single if I have to. And hopefully I can either completely or mostly have the cost of their payment cover the mortgage and everything else, as well as a portion of my rent that I'm living in my current apartment. And then that would free up my income. Let's say I only had to pay half of my rent instead of the whole thing. And then that extra money I could either invest or buy another property or and some of these guys, they tell you to borrow against your life insurance policy and leverage that when you built up equity and equality or you know what I'm trying to say. I don't know all the words, but these guys do, which is why the internet, like he said, there's an education. This is what's crazy, David, is I come from poor people. We're brokies. Like we do. Even middle-class people are broke to this guy. And we're broke because we operate with different rules. We think it's good to buy things, right? Like we buy liabilities, not assets. Grant Cardone rents the house that his business owns. So he rents off himself. So he pays himself to live in the building. And then he gets all the tax write-offs, right? And then he probably owns a landscaping company too. So the people that cut and mow his grass and probably a maid service. So the people that clean his food and shop for him and cut his grass and remove this and wash his windows probably owns all of those companies as well. Or is like bought into a company that right? He like invests in the company that cleans his building, right? So that like one way or another, he's paying himself back for the service that he uses on his own stuff. Now, granted, it's a lot easier to do that when you start getting money, but you have to start somewhere. And everybody, what they do is they go buy a fucking house. They pay for it for 30 years, pay off property tax. I'll get there. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad talks about this. And I'm not saying I want to take on $100 billion in debt and all this stuff. But reading this stuff, seeing this stuff, following these people, they're doing – if there's so much money out there, why not us, David, right? And it's like, why not – the reason I'm not rich is I don't do what the rich do. That's all it is. So if you've heard of the LLC game, right?
Yeah.
That you buy a house, you open an LLC, let's say electrical contractor, buy an LLC, open an LLC, and you buy your house in the LLC, and then you live in the house, and then you can write off your rent, your portion of your rent, your gas. You can do that with your car, your electricity, your internet. If you have a stay-at-home girlfriend that does your accounting, you can pay her an income, right? And then write that off on the tax, on the house. And then that's what he means when he didn't pay any money. He got rid of all of his money, but what he's basically doing is like, I owe the government $70,000, but with all of their little kickbacks, they actually owe me $5 million. Even though I was supposed to pay them 70, like by the end of it, it's 75. So they owe me $5 million. And this is how Jeff Bezos doesn't pay tax and all these other corporations don't pay tax, and we're mad at them. And then we go to Congress to pass bills to fix it. And all it does is just make another set of things for them to get wealthy off of and channel and fund their money.
Yeah. Well,
and it doesn't even have to be a malicious thing. Like, this doesn't have to be a conspiracy for this to happen. This is just how the wealthy stay wealthy and get wealthy and keep this is the system to wealth. This is the golden rule is what, David? He who has the gold makes the rules. This is the bank game. This is what the banks want you to do to get wealthy. If you want to get wealthy, you got to do this. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's to quote Trump when he was asked about not paying taxes. That makes me smart.
Now, granted, Trump probably is smart. Like, I don't think he was hiring people to tell him what to put his money in. He just had really good friends and a good network, and then he was able to be creative and right. Like, it's all the Goldilocks effect too. Like, I'm not dumb. It's not like if I just copy and paste what Patrick Bet-David, Grant Cardone, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Warren Buffett, Bill. It's not like I can just copy paste their life. Like, I have to be realistic. We have to be realistic. But my point is, like, we all don't have to stay middle class. We can, even an upper middle class, where you're not worrying about inflation and all this stuff and worrying about a 5% raise. Like, dude, inflation's like what, 11%? We'd all need to go get 11% from our job tomorrow to keep up with the devaluation of our dollar.
And then the next day you'd have to get another
11%.
And then the day after you need another person, and then you
Never
need another, and then you need another, because it's always That's what I said before. The dollar is always going to be worth less tomorrow.
Yeah, like, the thing keeping me poor isn't rich people. It's the devaluation of the current dollar I have in my pocket. It's not worth the same dollar. We value it as a dollar, but it's not worth a dollar. And like that in itself is interesting, because now you see when he said it, it's a minute clip, and they do that with everything. Their cars, their houses, their clothes, their jewelry, their wife's handbag. They do it with literally everything. Literally everything. He just told you. But then you're going to be mad at the billionaire. You're going to be mad at your rich business owner that's just your local millionaire. You're going to be mad at your local millionaire, the guy that gives you a job so you don't have to rely on the government. You're mad at that guy when all he does is know a couple things that you can fucking YouTube. You get a TikTok video on how to be a billionaire. You get TikToks from billionaires, and you're going to hate them. Does that make sense to you, man? Maybe we're from a different time, Dave. Maybe we're 90s babies and all that stuff that we're like actually seeing like, yo, we didn't have access to this stuff, so we're just more anxious to chew on it. But young kids, like I tell my little brother, he's 18, like, dude, you don't understand the things that you have access to. You have all of the colleges of all of humankind in your pocket at all times.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why you don't care. But I care enough to, like, I've been sucked into Grant Cardone this week. Lots of interviews, and he's got a book I'm going to look. And once again, I know this doesn't translate, but it's about changing your mindset. I told you guys about Interview with the Devil. Any negative space in your mind that you don't use for good things, the devil will occupy. You think Grant Cardone gets depressed? Because I don't. That guy probably doesn't even have the time to feel depressed. Not because he's that busy, but because he's like, I can't let it ruin me. And also, it's probably hard to be depressed when you're a billionaire and you're successful and you're healthy. And like, the guy checks all the boxes. And I started doing it this week. Instead of saying what I want to be rich, I started to say I will be rich when I'm rich. Because I can't give myself an option. I have to speak it into fruition. I have to self-hypnotize. Badris Koulian talked about this. I told you guys about this a few weeks ago. And when I brought it up, people like almost mocked at me. Like, you won't be rich. Be like, that's why you're fucking poor.
Yeah.
And also, you're scared.
That's I think the two biggest detractors from
your insecurity.
People are scared and people are lazy.
And you know what? You should be. You're lazy because you're comfortable, and you're scared because it's dangerous. 100%.
That's why there's less billionaires than thousandaires.
Right, but I'm going to take a quote out of Braveheart and alter it here. But would you, if you were to trade all those days of comfort and laziness because you just got by and lived a middle-class life, Ryan, if you just were to get by and make the same 60, 70 grand a year and never break through to serious wealth and life-changing things and experiences for friends and family and be able to go have a podcast studio with Dave wherever I want. Like, would I trade all those days in between my average living and death for just one day of being rich that I could do anything I want and help whoever I want and build whatever I want? So that I don't have to go to the store and have people not believe in me. If I were to sit around, David, this is getting too personal. I don't care. I came from parents that had like no money. I make more money than both my fucking parents. That's not an insult to them. It's just they sacrificed everything to give me a shot.
Yeah.
My ancestors that came, I told you guys about my family. They were goat farmers, basically. So came here. I'm already better than anybody in that village just on income.
Maybe. You don't even have any goats, though.
Well, I'm sure when goat meat's more expensive, they'll be that. My point is like, I have to, I owe it to myself to risk everything. And I'm not going to be dumb and reckless. Risk doesn't mean recklessness. And that fear and paralyzation, I'm tired of it. We have to hypnotize ourselves, man. If you want to be happy, stop being depressed. It's not easy, but you got to, it's the tape method, right? I just won't let myself happen. And if you're good 85% of the days, 90% of the days like that, results speak for themselves, So yeah. I know I'm hammering this, but I'm trying to change my life in the way I thought. And if I were to sit around and listen to people, I'd still be sitting in the same house. I drove over in that neighborhood I grew up in where it's dilapidated and it's abandoned factories in the middle. It was the ghetto of my school. Most people die on the street that they grew up on. Not me. It's any bad blood of those people, but I ain't going back. I'll change my whole life. I'll look like a stranger to people that have known me my whole life. I don't care what I have to do. I'm not selling my soul. I'm not sacrificing values for it, but I'm not going back to that. And if I were to sit here and listen to the very people that are in the position I don't want to be, and you'll never follow your dream. Fuck you. And I'm saying this because everybody needs to have that. Everybody.
A little bit of a spiteful edge.
Yeah, so Grant Cardone, he runs for president. I know I said to vote for Trump. I don't know if I would vote for Trump if Grant Cardone ran, because I've been following him for a little time now. I don't know his whole life, but he'd been through the ringer. He didn't get rich until late in his life and everything. He almost, he got into drugs bad and stuff too. But my point is we got to keep an eye on these guys. That guy could actually be president one day. Speaking of presidents, Jimmy Carter apparently is on hospice until he passes. So he's the oldest living president right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say about.
I was always told if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
I just know that he liked peanuts or something. That's actually something I have heard said, that he's actually the last real president we ever had that was from the earth, right? He was a peanut farmer, right? Am I not mistaken here?
Maybe. I don't know. He did something about working with houses and some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a real salt of the earth guy. But,
sure. Yeah. Great, real great guy, I'm sure.
All right, a couple things here, and then Decembertainment. There was a GI bug going around last week. My daughter got it. My sister got it. Another kid. The point is, keep an eye on it. I don't know if it's from the toxic chemicals that they put.
No, I'm sure it's unrelated. I've had really bad allergies lately, since probably unrelated to the train derailment.
That's just GI bug. Look at the fucking oily water, Mom. Oh, go swimming. Don't drink the water, but take a shower.
Eve had a stomach thing, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting conspiracy cast YouTube. I was just saying it was kind of a joking. I'm not saying it is. I know it's the change of the seasons and all that shit. So it's also allergy season because it's warmer out. Blah blah blah. The point is, it's crazy. I got to think like this.
Yeah,
something else. COVID. This is from people familiar with the matter that I know personally. YouTube, who's somebody who works in the healthcare field at a 5-star facility. That's all I'm going to say. And they said by the end of the year, COVID will just be counted as the flu, basically. It will be its own statistic, but it's like all the hysteria is gone by the end of the year, basically. So the people that said it's going to work its way through the population to become like a flu and not go anywhere were 100% correct.
So for the record, us.
Yeah. So for all the people that went and got vaccinated and lost their jobs or complained and cried and took an extra $500 every week to sit at home and compromise American values, you fucking played yourself and you should be ashamed of yourself. No judgment here, though. I'm just a pseudo-intellectual that watched you guys gut my civil liberties for something that is literally the fucking
here's the good
bankrupted
news.
grandma.
Here's how you get better as a person, right? You saw it happen. You fell for it once. Don't fucking let it happen again.
Yeah. What else?
I don't want to hear it in 2 years when there's a new virus out. Good. Let there be a virus, and we're not going to do the same shit we did twice.
Maybe anything. Maybe don't trust the government ever. Maybe we should question everything. Maybe we should hold scrutiny to everything. Maybe journalists should be questioned on everything. Maybe Twitter should be questioned on everything. But we're the crazy ones. I'm the pseudo-intellectual for not believing known liars. And then I can guess them from our couch, David. Get the fuck out of here. With all this stuff going on lately, I had a dream this weekend that Buffalo got nuked.
Weird.
So I'm not saying it's like a vision or a premonition, but it felt real. I don't remember anything of the dream other than basically, like, imagine like the M&T building and it was just burning like a standing log, just like burning and there's nothing. And I just remember looking at it and just like feeling hopeless. And I woke up and the image is burned in my head still.
I was always told that a real hot spot for an actual strike would be Niagara Falls because it provides so much electricity for a large chunk of the nation.
Yeah, David, I wonder if some of these things that have been surveyed by a hot air balloon in Alaska and Canada and the train derailments and there was one other thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. That chemical spill down in Arizona and stuff. Maybe some of these things were on that list that Biden gave to the Russian people about the crucial infrastructure that they should target.
Oh yeah, the top like 10 don't touch list.
Yeah, like it's just I really wonder if those things are on that list. Like I'm being serious. Like, whatever. It's just crazy. It's crazy. We got to live like this. It's obviously a fact. This is why I only do politics one day a week because it was driving me crazy. And I'm having dreams about my hometown city nuked. Now, maybe I got to do work on that, which is fine. But like some people don't have outlets like this or they don't know enough. Like this is the dreams I'm having with knowing what I know. I can't imagine somebody not knowing anything. It's got to be very scary for the average American. Last thing here, speaking of scary of average American, Florida residents can rest assured. DeSantis passed a digital bill of rights. I sent this to David earlier in the week. Look, just the fact that they got to pass it just shows you how fucking off the rails the government is. And also, your Florida digital bill of rights wouldn't have stopped the FBI lobbying Twitter to alter the results of the 2020 election. So congratulations on doing nothing. Entertainment this week.
I think my response was something along the lines is, if only they had put it in paper.
Yeah. I don't need a digital bill of rights. It is part of the First Amendment already. It's known as my effects. I know the Constitution. It's my effects, my person, my belonging, my effects. Which is for those who don't know, is the extension of you. Your effects is everything of your life. If it's not specifically on a warrant or something to be seized, they have to specifically say they're at your house or at your effects for this and that and this and that, not for whatever the fuck they want. December Entertainment this week. I listened to a Rich Dad Poor Dad audiobook by Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know.
Kawasaki.
You know who I'm talking about. Once again, this is just my path of trying to change my mindset. I've come on here and gave you guys a couple different audiobooks and other content creators that I've been dabbling with to try to break through a lot of things. Generational curses is mostly, it seems, the negative thinking of my culture around me, as far as like the Buffalonians that are stuck in the 80s and all these old workmen and tradesmen and broken men with ex-wives and, all this, just a lot of pain. There's a lot of people with pain around here, and people with pain that raised me. And, I guess this is my way to try to like give back, right? Is like to myself and to these people, is like show that it's not hopeless, and that like, it sucks that you went through everything, but it's never too late. And that, interesting personal story. I actually first was told about this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, by instructor I had in trade school named Mr. Rivers, and he used to call me his little investor. And I never really knew what that mean, until a little bit older. And it's just weird that it comes back to me after all these years. I actually got the urge to put it in and listen to it, and it's long. I got a free version of it on YouTube, so it's like 6 and 7 hours, and I was listening to it while at work, and cleaning and stuff. And obviously this isn't just something that you can consume 1 or 2 times. It's about repetition and application. And once again, I'm not just trying to like copy paste these people. What I'm trying to really study is getting in their mindset and what it's like. Patrick Bet-David's another great example of that. And I encourage everybody to check it out. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, the audiobook, the written book. Patrick Bet-David, actually, I got it from him. To see how good Rich Dad Poor Dad really was after I already consumed it, I went on Amazon and looked at the top money books. And he has it's like every version of the book is in the top 20. Like 80% of the books on money are Rich Dad Poor Dad. So it's like the Bible of financial wealth and independence. So yeah, Dave, I just wanted to say one last time, I appreciate you for your time, as well as everybody else. If you made it to the end of this episode and all the other episodes this week, I appreciate you most. You guys are the true warriors, and you make Dave and I thrive. And I'll be there Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. Counting along. Hope to see everybody there, and catch you guys soon. Later, Dave.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, man. Good work this week. I know there's a couple extra episodes, so I hope everybody enjoys it, and keep up the grind, man.
See ya, Ron.
Peace, man.